What's going on, Reject Nation? Greg Alba here. So I'm sure you've noticed I've been gone for the week. I went on a trip to Colorado, which was beautiful. It was my first time away from YouTube for a solid week in the entire time I've done YouTube. And it was nice to get away. I had an amazing time with the girlfriend, got to meet her whole family. They're all very lovely people. Spent a ton of time in nature. Oh my God, it was so relaxing. I felt like I got a decompressed. I keep saying decompose, decompress. I was able to unplug from the internet except for Instagram. I posted on there. Follow me at the Greg Alba. Shameless plug. So yeah, it was nice to get away from social media this entire week. Game of Thrones hasn't been ruined for me. The Defenders hasn't been ruined for me. I'm going to be covering that this week. So for the next few days, I'm just doing a lot of catching up. I haven't been scanning posts. I haven't been reading comments. I haven't been watching other YouTubers' videos. And I also wanted to say thank you to my best friend, my brother, John Humphrey, who's moving in with me next week, actually. He kept the channel alive while I was away. I haven't seen anything he's posted yet, but I do know you guys have been incredibly supportive towards him, so thank you all for showing John your support, and thank you, John, for being my brother. Anyway, yeah, it's just a quick update. Gonna be catch up on the Defenders, gonna watch Game of Thrones later today with John. But on my way back, my friend Andrew Gordon from the Movie Source channel, I'm sure some of you guys have seen him before, he texted me this article from Deadline talking about the new Joker origin movie. I was thinking of talking about it last night, but honestly, the road trip back was 22 hours long. I only got about an hour of shut-eye, so I was just very exhausted. But I decided to read a couple of articles, and I found this story very intriguing. So I thought, when getting back into the swing of things of filming, this will be the first thing I talk about. Granted, I know you guys probably just want some reactions, but hey, I'm gonna do what I want to do. So I'm sure a lot of people have already done videos on this topic, but WB is developing a Joker origin tale with Todd Phillips, the director of The Hangover, Due Date, Old School, supposedly helming this film. And like I said, I read a couple of articles. One article said Martin Scorsese will be producing this. Another article said he might be producing it. I don't know which one to go off of, but for the sake of this video, I'll act as if Martin Scorsese is producing it. Because if he is, holy moly, Batman, that is freaking insane. Even if he's not directing, just producing, that's really cool. And the other kicker to this announcement is that it will not be directly linked to the DCEU lineage. It will be its own standalone movie, not having to worry about any tie-ins to other films. And that information alone got me very excited. If you're a dedicated follower of this channel, you probably heard me say several times before that I want comic book movies, especially like the Marvel and the DC films, to branch out and start doing their own standalone movies, their own solo movies that don't have to worry about being linked to their specific cinematic universe. I know I've said several times that I've wanted a Batman Year One adaptation that doesn't have to be directly linked to the DCEU films. Just its own standalone film that could probably be on an even lower budget. Because in comic books alone, there are so many different interpretations, iterations, and timelines. And I thought this idea of Hollywood acting on standalone movies that don't have to be linked to the other comic book movies would be something they do way later down the road. But I think WB deciding to do it at a jumping off point with the Joker tale is actually a really good idea. However, let's face it, a lot of negativity can be said about doing this. I mean, a big part of what makes the Joker such an intriguing character is that we don't know too much about his backstory. Yes, I know the Jack Nicholson one had an origin in it. I know the Killing Joke comic book is one of the definitive origins of the Joker. In terms of cinema though, with not spending too much time on how the Joker became the Joker is a big part of the mystery element to what the Joker does and who he is. So with that being said, because this is not connected to the DCEU timeline, it wouldn't affect any of the future installments that feature the Joker as the primary or side antagonist, because this would be a totally separate tale with him being a protagonist. So bottom line, if you're gonna do a Joker origin tale, I think it would be best to not have it be connected to any of the movies where he would be a villain or a side villain, such as the upcoming Suicide Squad sequel or the Harley Quinn spin-off. And speaking of those films, Jared Leto will obviously not be playing the Joker in this standalone film, and I think it's going to be a very interesting time for the internet when this Joker origin tale comes out, because you know there's going to be a comparison game. A lot of people didn't like the Joker that Jared Leto did. A lot of people did like him, so watching people debate over who they prefer is going to be very fascinating. So now on to the filmmakers behind this project. Todd Phillips as the director and the co-writer of this story. When I first heard Todd Phillips, my first thought was, what? Why him? Then I was thinking about some of his films and I realized I hadn't seen War Dogs yet. So before I passed out last night, I saw that on HBO Go they had War Dogs, so I decided to watch it. About 20 to 30 minutes into watching this movie, the choice for Todd Phillips to be directing the Joker origin tale just made a lot more sense. I've seen most of this guy's movies. I think I've seen all of them actually. And after Due Date and The Hangover Part 3, while I really didn't like either one of those films, especially The Hangover 3, oh God. I did see that Todd Phillips was trying to make this transition from just a comedy, slapstick, kind of goofball, comedic director into a more serious filmmaker, if you will. Due Date had a lot more drama in it than I expected. The Hangover Part 3 was pretty much a thriller that had some dark comedy infused into it. I feel like Todd Phillips has been having a hard time finding the right blend between doing the comedy films he's known for and that I'm sure the studio wants him to do, and then infusing deeper elements. So I watched War Dogs last night. I didn't love the film, and I didn't hate the film either. I thought it was decent. What I did see, though, was more of that transition Todd Phillips has been trying to make. And the number one thing I kept thinking while I was watching this film, pretty much within the first 10 minutes I was thinking this, the War Dogs style and direction evidently heavily inspired by Martin Scorsese films. A lot of directors want to be Martin Scorsese, and Todd Phillips was clearly doing that with the War Dogs movie. The way the editing was done, the tone that was being struck up, the angles, the overall direction was just very Scorsese heavy. Now, War Dogs never reached that level for me where I felt like this was a great film. This feels like a really good Scorsese-esque type of movie. I never reached that for me, but I really did respect the ambitions he had. And at the end of the day, he came out with a pretty decent dark comedy that explores criminal activity. So then I thought about Martin Scorsese producing the Joker movie. I felt way more confident about Todd Phillips actually directing this film, because he clearly drew inspiration from Scorsese for War Dogs. And after reading in both articles that this Joker origin tale is supposed to be a gritty, grounded, hard-boiled crime drama that's going to be set in the 80s of Gotham City, that just sounds really cool. And they're looking to have that kind of feel of Scorsese classics like Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and The King of Comedy. It started making me feel like Todd Phillips might actually be the right man for the job. I'm not 100% confident, but after really thinking about it, I'm like 80 to 90% confident in Todd Phillips doing this, actually. I really don't know how the rest of the internet is responding. I don't know what anyone else on YouTube has said. I haven't read a single comment on any of these articles. I have no idea what people are thinking about Todd Phillips directing this film. This is just my own personal opinion. But after watching The Hangover Part 3 and War Dogs, two films where I felt he was way more interested in making a thriller than giving into the comedy elements that people would expect from him, I thought this would be a great opportunity for him to make a period piece crime thriller. If you look at films like Lights Out and Annabelle Creation, two films directed by David Sandberg and produced by James Wan, David Sandberg's direction is very similar to James Wan. And I feel that having James Wan on those films as a creative producer helped smooth out and develop those horror movies into being really good horror films. So likewise, I could see a similar situation happening for Todd Phillips and Martin Scorsese producing the film that Todd Phillips is directing. And this new Joker movie, clearly 80s Scorsese film inspired, and of course, yeah, these people guarding, I'm back day one, and they are, oh, you motherfucker. If Scorsese is a producer that's creatively involved, I can see this film actually working, because I think this is just what Todd Phillips has been wanting to do. I feel like with a director like Todd Phillips, if he's actually able to just commit to the film he actually wants to make, he can turn out with a pretty damn good movie. He does have style. He is good with comedy. And with this movie being about the Joker, you're gonna need at least some dark comedy elements in here, which he's pretty good at doing. And this Joker movie is gonna be a period piece in the 80s. War Dogs, while it only took place about a decade ago, it did explore the specific time in which it took place. And Todd Phillips also directed one of my favorite comedies of all time, Starsky and Hutch, which explored the 70s, and I thought he did a really good job with that movie. So while I haven't loved the director's latest films, if he's able to make the kind of film he really wants to make, because I highly doubt that even though Todd Phillips is a director, I doubt anybody wants to see a typical Todd Phillips comedy. And if this film is a success in terms of critical reception and box office reception, it could be monumental in shifting the directions, not entirely, but in some cases, for comic book films, and just allowing Todd Phillips to become a whole new kind of director. And as for who should play the Joker, I have no idea. No clue. I'm not even gonna theorize right now, and maybe I'll do a video on that later. But who do you guys think should play the Joker? Who do you think should play the Joker, young Joker? Tom Holland? Tom Hardy? Tom Felton? Thomas Hayden Church? Put your comments down below. I'm happy to be back filming, people. Miss you guys. You can subscribe to The Real Rejects, click that notification bell, follow me at The Greg Alba, and at The Real Rejects. Got all the social media in the description box. Follow us everywhere. And patreon.com/TheRealRejects. Thank you all. Have a good day.